Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is our combined work session and regular meeting of the board for the month of December. So the meeting will still go fairly fast. But if anybody has any questions, Item D, recognition of meetings, combined work session and regular meetings for this month. From 5:30 to 6:40, athletic committee, fall coach exit interviews. Item 2, presentations, prize and promises.
We are fortunate to have two groups of nominees tonight. Mr. Spurley, may I ask you to present to Ms. Jones, Mrs. Jones to start tonight?
Yes. So we've elected Kelly Jones for the Pride and Promise. First off, she wrote a grant to get Pozobots to the elementary, which we used at our family fun night. Also, our gifted teachers use them with our gifted students, and any other teacher can use them within their classroom. So that was good. Besides that, she's also taken on academic games. So she does a lot to go above and beyond, and not to discount anything, she's also had the highest scores in the county over the last 2 years. So
Just say it.
We're very happy to recognize her tonight.
Thank you.
To say anything?
I wasn't prepared for any of this. Not really, but it's been so nice to work at Laurel, and it's great to know someday my kids will go here, and just happy to be a part of that. So thank you guys.
We're extremely happy to have you. It's been a great addition to the elementary school, and your dedication speaks for itself. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have the nutrition group here tonight as well, and our cafeteria staff to explain their award. They were awarded the Child Hunger Hero Award for, this is the third time we've won this? Fourth time, sorry. Fourth time winner, Carrie Bonick and the cafeteria staff. So the nutrition group is here. You explain the Child Hunger Hero Award.
Sure. Hello everyone, my name is Katie Wodas. I work at the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank. I am the Child Nutrition Outreach Coordinator for Lawrence County. I work in 3 other counties in our service area. And for the past couple of years, we've been giving out the Child Hunger Hero Award. So just have a few little bullet points. So the Child Hunger Hero Award program recognizes school districts and community partners who are making outstanding contributions to food security for kids within our service area during the 2023-2024 school year, and as well as this past summer. The award program measures partner engagement and recognizes outstanding achievement in programs that improve young people's food security, including school meals, summer food, after-school meals, weekend backpacks, and school pantry programs. 1 in 6 children in our 11 county service area we know are considered food insecure. And where do a lot of kids get their food? At school. So just want to highlight some of the things that Carrie and her team does at the district. They participate in the PA Harvest of the Month, as well as a Farm to Fork program where they highlight local fresh vegetables. They participate in a Wellness Wednesday monthly where they encourage students to try new foods and join the 2 Bite Club. They supply free snacks to kindergarten students in the afternoon to ensure that they are listening to their brains and not their bellies. They work with local church to supply a backpack program for the weekend elementary school students who may not have enough to eat on the weekends. They're constantly looking to see if they meet the criteria for the Community Eligibility Provision Program, which allows all students to have free lunch regardless of their family's income level. They offer MTO salads and sandwiches, have a gluten-free plus egg and milk-free lunch menus, and work with parents to provide options for their students who may have special dietary needs. They have a breakfast after the bell program where students are provided with either a hot or cold meal that they can eat in the cafeteria. We know that students perform better in the classroom when they eat breakfast, so increasing access to breakfast is so important. They allow study halls in the cafeteria that students can have breakfast late, because we know that many students have a later lunch. Although they do not participate in the summer feeding program since they do not qualify, they're actively letting the public know about where students and families can get food in the summer. And they are a proud partner of the PA Beef Council to spotlight local beef. They're working with a beef supplier in the district to supply beef to the district. So those are just a few things that I know that Carrie and her team are doing. We know that this job and food service specifically in schools is not a job that gets a lot of thank yous or pats on the back. So this is a way that, one, the food bank can say thank you for all of the great work that they do, but also to let all of you know all of the great work that they do so that you can also say thank you. So I just want to give a round of applause to Carrie and her. Thank you for earning a bronze level again this year. Just to kind of show how prestigious that is, even the bronze level. Out of our 11 county service area, only 40 winners. There are only 40 winners, and that includes both schools and other community partners. So thinking about all of the school districts in those 11 counties, to be one of the 40 is really special. So just make sure that you keep thanking your lunch ladies, and they're doing such a great job.
Thank you, everyone. Just a quick word, I can't express enough for my staff to what they've done to go above and beyond every day to feed the students here at Laurel. They come and they always come to me about students and concerns, make sure that your students get fed a nutritious, healthy meal. So I couldn't ask for a better group of ladies to work for, and thank you very much.
I ask that you take our Pride Promise winners out and get a nice picture.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight too. I know the weather's not great, so.
Thank you, ladies.
You think we're good?
We can go. I'm sorry, Tim. Let's get you a coffee.
Okay, we're doing the audit.
Audit, yep.
Keep your glasses on. I give the floor to Mrs. Landon.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me come speak tonight. I'll try to make this brief. Mr. Rich told me I had 10 minutes.
Down to 9.5.
You should have been emailed your 60-page financial statement. You can look over that at your leisure. It has all the required statements and footnotes that you have to have in there to get accepted by the federal government. But you should also have in front of you a 2-page summary that we take the 60 pages, you kind of summarize down 2 pages worth of what we think is the most important information. So do you all have napkins?
It's all
Send
from.
that out to everyone? Okay. So what we like to do is we just kind of go down through, we compare, we audit as of June 30th, 2024, and we'll compare that to the June 30th, 2023 audit we did for you. First and foremost, your auditor's report, you had a clean audit. We thought everything looked good. Jen does a great job. Nothing to report there. We'll talk about your general fund mostly, right? Your main operating fund, the fund you care most about. If you look there, your total assets, just over $10 million. Those went down about $190,000. And what's in your assets are mostly cash in your accounts receivable. So what you're owed in taxes and your state and federal subsidies at the end of the year. So those were overall down. You did have a decrease in cash. And we'll see as we get down to the bottom of this page, you did have a net loss for the year. So that's the main reason your assets are down. Your total liabilities, so those are things like accounts payables and accrued salaries at the end of the year. So things you still have to pay out after June 30th because they were incurred in the June 30th, 2024 year end. Those were up slightly, 163,000, not a huge number when you look at 2.6 million. You had the water system project in your accounts payable at the end of the current year. So they did work on that project in the June 2024 year end, but you paid it in July or August. If we look at your total fund balance, you'll see it's sitting just over $7 million. It was $7.6 million the year before. So there's your net loss for the year, about $359,000. We'll talk more about why that occurred here in a second. But we have to break down your fund balance into categories. They require us to do that. So you have a small non-spendable number there, that's the prepaid expenses you had. Then look at your assigned fund balance, $6.9 million. So we have to set aside money. We know you're gonna have future increases in your PSERS, retirement, OPEB. Usually you have to budget at a loss. So we need to set aside some of your fund balance to cover those things. And then your unassigned fund balance is basically what you have left at the end of the year to spend. $281,000. So that is up over last year's $195,000.
Before we move on, because again, we have some board members only been on the board for about a year. As far as audit regulations, assigned, unassigned, what the state looks for, less than 8% of your budget and unassigned. Can you explain the difference between assigned and unassigned in that, and why we need to be under 8% in our?
Yeah, so Jen probably knows the specific percentages better, but we do have to substantiate that assigned number. You can't just throw out any number just to say, like, if teacher contracts are coming up or something, you can't just have a high assigned fund balance to say, oh no, we don't have any money to spend. We do have to substantiate that number.
And the OPEB acronym are Other
Yeah.
Post-Employment Benefits.
Yeah, thank you. I use a lot of abbreviations.
I try to think about the lay people
Yeah.
there. Jen, any other comment on assigned versus unassigned?
Yeah.
Any questions on unassigned versus assigned? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, the bottom of the page is basically your income statement, so all your revenues and expenses for the year. We look at your local sources. Those are basically all your real estate, earned income tax, and your interest income. So you did have increased real estate taxes and everybody's interest income. We saw it grew quite large in 2024. Your state sources, look at how those were up about $800,000. So you had an increased basic ed money and you had a new environmental repair grant. So the state budget didn't pass on time, so that's why you have the increase in the basic ed monies. Your federal sources were up a little bit, $174,000. That was the increase in the ESSER monies that were being spent down. So overall, your revenues were up $1.2 million.
Again, just for notation, ESSER's done as of September 30th. So there will be no ESSER monies. I know you brought that up in the past. There will be no ESSER monies to fill any holes for the next budget cycle.
If we look at your total expenditures, those were up $1.6 million. So you purchased some security equipment, you can see there, the roof replacement, the water and library projects. You did have a grant to cover some of the roof and the water projects. And the library project was paid with ESSER. So overall, if we look at that line item, excess of revenues over or under expenditures, that's your net income or loss for the year. So you had a net loss of $359,000. Any questions on that?
I think it's significant because the expected budgeted loss was 2.1 million.
Yeah, we should point that out. So that very bottom number is what you budgeted to have as a loss, $2 million.
So,
But we know the reasons why.
and if we could briefly review those, and here's why, because in years past, we're not playing a shell game here where we want to present doom or gloom and then all of a sudden it's a bed of roses. There were some different revenues that came in that made this type of impact.
Right, so you didn't budget for the huge increase in interest income, so we always recommend you be conservative when you're budgeting revenues, so that was good. You had more interest than you expected, and then you had the environmental grant.
Which
When
was
you were doing your budget.
$475,000.
Yep, you didn't know that at the time of the budget. So that made up the bulk of it. And again, it's always good to be somewhat conservative.
Thank you. I apologize.
No, you're good.
I'm trying to interrupt you there.
Any other questions on the general fund?
$660,000, that's what we actually took out of the fund balance for the year.
No, that
It
was,
was $359. And briefly, the next page talks about some of your other funds. So you have a capital projects fund. It has $45,000 sitting in there. Now your food service fund, you do have a net loss in that fund of $15,000. And you see the year prior had a loss of $9,600. So this is kind of going back to what we were seeing before COVID. The cafeteria funds basically couldn't cover themselves. And sometimes money has to be sent to the general fund to help cover the costs for these funds because all the subsidies, there were large subsidies during COVID, especially from the federal government, and those are going away.
So if you look over the long-term history of Laurel, prior to some of these food programs, we did operate at a loss. It's always been, and Tim, as you've noted, you've been here longer than everybody, and Jeff, we've always kept our breakfast and lunch prices reasonable. And I think, not that we want any loss, but $15,000 is nickels and dimes in the $20 million budget.
Yeah, and honestly, the main reason for the loss, if you look at that line item right below it, depreciation expense is $21,000. So that's not even a cash payment. That's where we take your fixed assets, like all your equipment, and we have to depreciate, we incur an expense every year for that. So it's not even a cash out. All right, the rest of the page goes into your government-wide financial statements, we call them. So that's where they make us take your books, convert them to be like they're the books of a business. So we have to put, so for all your governmental funds, which is your capital projects fund, your general fund. So we have to put on there all your fixed assets as an asset and depreciate them. So you'll see all your fixed assets there. You have over $15 million in fixed assets. And the main reason for that increase is for your roof replacement, the water project, library project. Then your debt continues to go down. You didn't have any new debt in the current year, so you're just about $4 million in debt. And actually, all that debt is set to be paid off in 2028. That will all be gone. Then we get into those OPEB, like Mr. Rich was saying, other post-employment benefits, your net pension liability. We get those numbers from actuaries. We're required to put those on your books. They look like large numbers, but it's nothing you have to pay out in the next year. Further down, we did have to do a single audit this year because you spent so much in federal revenues. So we tested your ESSER program. That all looked good. That money, again, will be going away next year, though, so we probably won't have to test that specifically. All in all, another good audit. Everything looks great. Do a good job. Any questions on it?
I have a question. I don't know if it has anything to do with the audit. Mr. Rich probably knows, but this is Conrad. What do we spend on that debt every year?
1.2 million, which is what I was going to say. So that is going to inject $1.2 million a year in revenue into our budget. So again, if you look at using this year as an example, take that $359,000 loss, inject $1.2 million in revenue, all of a sudden it's a $900,000 loss. This conversation with Mr. Hammerschmidt for years, we really want to try to keep, as we prepare our budgets in the future, knowing that that infusion is coming, we have a shot to get back to balanced budgets or maybe even surpluses. If we do a conscientious job at being very aggressive on planning our expenditures, and again, as contracts come up, we want to be fair to our employees, but reasonable to the taxpayers. So very long answer to a short question.
No, I get it.
But that's, yes, you're going to get 1.2 million. Let's keep that in mind, that's right around the bend. We want to try to be fiscally responsible and keep any deficit within that range.
How much ESSER's money's going away?
We had $8,000 left to spend between July 1 and September.
But like,
But
what
for
was
the fiscal
the
year,
I
average?
can tell, I probably have it here. It would be on your CFA, Jen. I don't know if you have that.
Like ballpark, what were we getting a year out of that?
Well, last year was probably your biggest year, 2024.
Definitely our biggest year. I think we got $2.5 million total over 4 years. But we didn't break it down by year.
Sure.
You spent 760,000 in 2020.
Was there another acronym we were using too? Was that it? I don't know, was there other COVID money or was it only ESSER?
They call it ARP ESSER.
Maybe it was just ESSER.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, well, thank you guys, have a good night. Yep, see you later.
Okay, then these reports for standing committees of the board. Administrative reports. Got it. Mr. Sager.
Our driver meeting this month, we discussed winter driving, accident prevention, and bus stops on 422. And always hear different stories of what goes on in 422. It's always a scary place out there, and we do have stops all over the place out there. I did move one stop off 422. So you pull into the mini golf course now for the stop. We turn around there and come back out. We just have too many close calls out there. It seems to be fine. Township told me they keep it clean and push it. We also just want the drivers to always pay attention, do what they're supposed to be doing, don't worry about everything else that's going on. But you got to give me focus the whole time on us. That's our biggest prevention right there. So we'll do good. We'll do good. Also, spare buses, they're on routine maintenance like the rest of the buses. They don't just sit in the garages down. They're always going somewhere. But like today, I took a main bus to the water stop away and put the spares on the road to get around. So. And our spare bus 85 is gone. It's kind of going off our property the other day. It's got towed to next.
I'll be back.
Any questions for Mr. Sager?
I will say with, as far as 422, there's definitely an increased police presence on that. I mean, I've noticed that ever since the two townships made it up. I forget, a safety corridor or something. I haven't been to the bypass when I leave Copper Road to get to the bypass. There's been a state cop at somewhere sitting in the parking lot. So
It's bad.
yeah,
And it's certain times of the day, like at 5 o'clock on Friday, 4:30, you can't even get out. We were trying to pull out of the road, trying to get across. That's why sometimes we're 5 or 8 minutes late. You know, we're sitting and trying to get out. We don't always have the red light down there, but that sometimes you get stuck there too. And yeah, people still don't know that when the lights are on, there's no divided lane out there, so they're supposed to stop too, but we don't cross anybody out there, so we're still safe unloading and unloading, but traffic don't know. We can get somebody every time out there. But tell my drivers, worry about our kids, get them off on our side of the road. You can't worry about what's going on with the traffic over there, but you need to pay attention to what's going on. You're going to concentrate on our kids. Don't worry about getting plates and stuff like that. That's for other people to do.
I did see one of the buses the other day had Merry Christmas down the whole side of it. Is that on all the buses or just that one? Well, it did say Happy Holidays, so.
Easter. Each driver does their own thing. They let them decorate their buses. Some of them got lights inside. Some of them all got stuff on the grills down. It's all in their own hands.
Any questions for Mr. Sager? Mr. Miller? Or Mr. Jones?
I'll take it. Last month, we installed all new emergency lights inside the press box. They were almost like a D-cell battery pack that was feeding off. And a little complication with one, we just changed them all over to LEDs, and they're all their own individuals now. We had sprung a leak in the water tank in the elementary school. Got it repaired. We replaced, this is my favorite one, we replaced probably one of the original toilets in the junior high locker room. It still had a black seat on it. I was sorry to go, but it was having problems. And we ended up putting the new exterior lights around the bus garage down there last month for the parking lot, so we didn't have any problems down there for seeing in the morning. There was only one working, so they're all brand new LEDs. So
What was the hole in the tank?
top of the tank, the copper line was neck down from 1.5 inches to 1.25 inches, and it must have just, I don't know if it had some kind of deal going, it just, the whole way around the solder, there was nothing hardly left of the copper.
So the new tank didn't have a hole.
No, it wasn't the tank, it was up this far from the top of it that we had to get that replaced. It was,
Any questions for Mr. Jones? Well, with the snow cover, you'll find out why your job sucks so.
And the lights, the bus garage parking lot looks like a stadium. If you drive by in the dark, it really looks like a stadium. It's lit up back there.
Those are LED lights.
It's amazing.
Okay. Chief?
All right, so we had a annual Shop at the Cop program yesterday at Newcastle Walmart on December 3rd. This is the first year I ran it. So it was given to me by Sergeant Sheila Pinella from Newcastle Police when she retired. So I got that put together, got everyone, all the volunteers, the kids from the school district down, and it went very well. It was great. And some of the pictures there we have, those are all some of our officers, myself, Officer Mendocino, and Officer Adams. And Mr. Rich earlier sent out the newspaper article. I think almost every officer that they commented on were all Laurel School Police employees. So I think it was nice that our guys go out and, help with that, and everyone's done that.
Got Lowen in that picture.
Yep, yeah, then Lowen's also one of our students here. She had a blast. She loved it, so. Also, other than that, we received our trauma kits that we ordered using the grant funds. I think we have 100 of them, and they'll go in every classroom. Then myself and Miss Antoine were just going over those yesterday, and we're going to basically teach all those teachers what these are, what they're for. And then we're also going to build our own trauma packs for both the nurses and the police officers. We'll have more extensive things in there to use, and they'll be a little bit different, but it's all using grant money, so it's great. We got really quality products with that, and I think it'll help everyone feel a little bit more, safe that they have these things there.
They put things like tourniquets in there.
Yeah, yep, there's tourniquets in it, clotting gauze, air vents, chest seals, survival blanket. They're pretty neat, actually.
Any questions for Chief Webb? Mrs. Baker?
Good evening, everybody. I've met with the high school special education staff and students. We're continuing to process the unexpected loss of Mrs. John. All of the students and staff have been offered counseling. I have met with the high school, all of the high school special ed teachers. They are so wonderful. We sat down, we determined a plan to help all of the life skills staff just during toileting times and getting on and off buses, just to ensure that everything's covered until I can hire for that position. I've had 8 applicants and I've had 1 person agree to an interview. So it's difficult, but we're continuing and moving along with that. Bocce practice has begun, and I do have the schedule. We have 5 games this year, and normally we've only had 3. So Lawrence County is playing all Lawrence County teams at least once. So we are playing December 16th, Mohawk at Laurel, January 9th, Laurel at Union, January 15th, Laurel at Chenango, January 27th, Newcastle at Laurel, and February 6th, Laurel at Elwood. So I will have this put on the district website, so in the event anybody would like to come, please do. I love watching.
One as an assembly again.
I think we did it every other year. We did it last year. We'll hold off this year. Get them again next year.
I love attending all of the bocce games. I think they're fun. We had our first 10 in a row school-wide positive behavior activity for students, and they received crumble cookies at the elementary school, and they loved them. Crumble cookies are apparently a big thing. I don't know that, but they love them. The December 1 count has been submitted by Diane, and the PINs upload is in process. The purpose of this is to look at the special education census, and our IDEA funds are attached to that. So it looks at how many special education students do we have? Is there a significant increase or decrease from the year prior? And it looks at, are we meeting state requirements with regard to itinerant supplemental full-time students in the district and out of the district. And so right now we have 120 total special education students. We're at 11.3 Last year, we were at 11.8%. So there is not a significant difference. And we're just continuing to monitor that. The high school transition program run by Mrs. Kelly Ventrum, she is just working very hard to give students a variety of different experiences, both within college and trade tours, connecting students with employment opportunities, and work experiences in the school as well as outside of the school. And we're continuing IST, and right now we have 34 K through 6 students who we are progress monitoring and ensuring they're getting interventions prior to any type of referrals to special education. So it's a wonderful process we have. Any questions?
Did you say we had 8 applicants for that age group?
8.
That's amazing. You know,
Yeah.
'cause you don't do that for the money. I'm really surprised. I'm glad.
Yeah. The one's a ventriloquist.
8 applicants, but she said 1.
One interview.
Oh, okay.
I've only had 1 interview, so I'm hoping to get more calls. We called everybody today, but I was shocked because we have posted other positions and we have had 0 applicants, so 8 was tremendous. So yeah, I'm hopeful that maybe they were just busy and doing other things today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Really,
Good evening, everybody. Couple things in the high school, middle school, all sophomores took the ASVAB, before Thanksgiving. We just received the scores, yesterday. Mr. Fertile and I will be distributing those, to all the students. Just want to thank the students and staff for participation in the annual food drive. I don't know the exact number, but it was astronomical how much food and money that was brought in. These guys helped out with the truck, loading the truck and taking it, that food was taken to the pantry last week. Actually, it went to 2 different pantries. They had so much food. So that's something that you guys have done here at Laurel, before my time, so I can't take any of that credit. Student council deserves all that credit for what they do there. Students in grades 7 through 12, then we had a talent show the day before Thanksgiving, and then that was also run by student council. They recognized the winning team of the food drive. It was won by Mrs. Scott once again, and then they also announced the Court of Caring for this 2024 season coming up before Christmas. Mr. Kessel, I know he had to run, but I want to thank him. He brought a program, is going to be bringing a program into the school next week. It's for Plastivan. It's called Plastivan. It's about plastics, and Mr. Walzer, the teacher, is going to have his kids go through it. Mrs. Conrad, I don't know if you want to mention the donation or that is paying for it.
There was a donation of $500 is covering all of the costs, and so we won't be getting money out of the district general fund at all. It'll be covered by the donation. And I think there's an alumni.
Yeah, it was a Laurel grad. I don't have that name. I was hoping Phil would be here to fill in the blanks, but I actually don't know a lot about it. I'll be interested to see what it is. He's really excited, and I know Mr. Walzer's really fired up about it next week. So, a couple events. Choral concert is tomorrow night at 7, and then the winter band instrumental concert is next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Winter sports are off and running, and then finally I added a point up there. All the 8th graders on the 17th will be going through that fentanyl presentation. Joe's wife will be here, correct? I think. Yes, she's usually a big part of that. We usually try to do that with at least the 8th grade group, if not more. So the 8th graders will be sitting there hearing some important information on December 17th with that presentation. So, that's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Lake? Thank you. Mrs. Thomas.
So, working a lot on attendance. Usually in the winter months, we start getting hit with a lot of students missing. I'm keeping up with making sure they have excuses and stuff and following up. I did have a couple of court hearings this past month, and I have 3 other court hearings coming up in the new year. STILS is the new science standards, and we are preparing to transition over for the PSSAs with skills. So I took the 3 science teachers in grades 3, 4, and 5 to the intermediate unit, and we did some curriculum mapping right before the holiday break, just to help prepare and to update all of our curriculum maps, since we're going to have to make sure that that's all up to date. Stream team, Dr. Lee and I have worked with the stream team, just kind of getting it a little more organized with making sure that we have them scheduled for away games for the basketball, so that we can still have all of our games on our YouTube channel. We have Huddle here, so those are already streamed, but just making sure that the students have arrangements that they're going to ride the bus with the team and that they're safe with us. Project Hope, currently we have teachers and staff members that are graciously going out and purchasing gifts to help with Project Hope. So we have quite a few families that are going to be taken care of for Christmas this year. Not to be confused with Club Hope. Club Hope is a new club that was started by Mrs. Merman this year. They do different drives every month. They did like a sock drive. I just wanted to differentiate between the two. Academic games, we have students that have participated in academic games. We have about 18 that recently participated in the elementary, and actually Mrs. Jones that was here has taken that over, and 12 in the high school. We actually had a couple students place this last game, an impromptu. We had 2 third-place winners, Emma McKenzie and Molly Cat. Powder Puff, there was a Powder Puff game between Laurel and Shenango. It was actually organized by the special ed department of both schools. It was a horrible November 22nd, rainy, cold, day. I was able to watch it on my phone because our stream team streamed it. So if you have a chance, go on our YouTube channel to watch it. Unfortunately, we did not win. But if you really want to see the true winners, I was so impressed with our boys that were the cheerleaders, because they stole the show at halftime. So if you get a chance, go check that out. They raised $2,000 and they're splitting that between the two. So each school got $1,000 from it. And that's.
Not for nothing, I think that's the first time Shenango beats in a football game. Just saying.
In the future, I hope they move it up a little bit. I wouldn't mind going to it, but there was no way. I mean, it was
the new science, we call them standards. Is that what they are?
Skills.
How these skills or whatever, what's the difference between the status quo and what's the new skills or standard? I mean, is it sequence or is it new?
It's new everything. It's completely changed. It's more hands-on. It's more exploratory. The test has not been, it's still currently being written right now. So the most frustrating part is receiving information in bits and pieces. 7th and 8th grade teachers, we're going to go to the curriculum mapping, or 6th, 7th, and 8th, we're going to go to the curriculum mapping for that. But that's not being offered till February. So.
And when will this start being tested?
This year, 5th grade will take it. It's a field test. Next year, 5th and 8th grade will be the actual test, and next year will also be the actual.
So they haven't even rolled out the whole curriculum yet, and they're going to be testing us next year on it. See, how do they take themselves seriously? They're a joke.
Well, they promised that we were gonna have materials when?
Oh, last year.
They promised it was gonna be on SAS, so we're all flying in the dark. I don't know, is it Blackhawk doing anything?
Yeah, we're just trying out different things.
I mean, we're all doing seek and find. Like, for example, I sent out a sample test to the board, a sample 5th grade test to this board, and I think all of us would have to repeat 5th grade. You know, let me say the following: as far as the hands-on and the experiment and the inquiry, I'm in. The issue is I'm concerned about some of the multiple choice and other things that are leading to a particular ideological agenda.
That's kind of where I was.
Yes, if you're looking for it, it's there. And
then we're gonna have to buy this crap. That's what I love.
There's nothing to even buy.
No.
Well, don't worry.
People are trying to
Don't
roll
worry,
stuff
somebody
out.
in
There's
Harrisburg's
nothing
gonna make sure they get their palms.
And that's, I'm gonna go to Dan on this, because he and I have had several conversations. We're holding off buying anything, right, Dan?
Yeah, so we've just been, teachers have been seeing things that they want to use, and, I budgeted to buy a whole curriculum, but we're not.
It's coming.
Yeah,
trust
so-
me.
So we're
Oh, it
getting
will.
pieces of that and trying it. Some of the stuff that's new is the engineering that they've added to it. That's a new piece to it. Some of the standards are the same in the same grade levels, but other ones, like what we taught in fourth grade, some of that now is taught in fifth grade, was taught in fifth grade, now it's taught in fourth grade. So we just have to work all that out.
Well, just keep some,
Force in motion this year. I've never taught that in 18 years.
In what grade?
Third grade.
I mean, they should need, that's necessary.
well, and here's another thing too, keep in mind that last year's fourth graders are this year's fifth graders, right? So they took the test last year that counted, and now they're taking the test this year that's a field test. So they're getting double whammy. Meanwhile, this year's fourth graders aren't taking it.
And then the key said
This is what really irritates me. It's like the people that are supposed to be advocating for public education in Harrisburg are actually doing the bidding of people that hate public education everywhere else. Like, they make it so miserable for the kids that these parents are like, why am I subjecting my third grader to force and trauma? Nuts. I mean, it's all about money, as soon as, because as soon as a standard's set in stone, then the people in Harrisburg have no justification for a job anymore. Okay, the standards are set and they're gonna be set for 10 years because, inertia and everything else is never gonna change. But if we put a nuance on it and make you hands-on, hey, we can rewrite this curriculum, make some money, and guess what? My brother-in-law sells the curriculum for this, so, we'll be voting on it in about 6 months for some, thing that you guys are gonna have to teach the new acronym. Just,
It's not an acronym, and I know you're probably a big buzzword person. So the buzzword is phenomenon.
Yeah.
That's what you teach in science that way.
how can you vote
It's
against
a phenomenon. So
Yeah.
you gotta produce the phenomenon to the kids. Yes.
I just saw our local representative going on a tirade against public ed. I'm like, come on, public ed, do something to fight back. And then I say, hey, listen to this. It's like, yay.
So let me reference your own teaching. 3 through 8, they changed the standards, correct?
Yeah.
For mathematics, and they originated out of CCIS, Common Core, right? All right. So those tests were changed, but the algebra test was not changed at the same time, right? So because it's a contract issue and it's a funding issue. And Mr. Priscilla, please check me, but I believe DRC, who is the test maker, it's a $20 million contract with the state for this test development and administration, I believe. I don't know what you.
And that company's in Minnesota, that's making a Pennsylvania test.
We can't do it here, evidently.
We ship those tests after we take them back to Minnesota.
All the money. Somebody's related to somebody.
Well, that was Rendell at first, way back when, that made that deal with DRC.
I don't mind like curriculum, like, for example, like if we were taught things that weren't so with whatever it was, and obviously with computers, we know things now that we didn't know, but reteaching the same exact factual thing, a different way, so somebody makes a buck and makes it more miserable for our kids. It makes it more miserable for the parents that can't help the kids because they're like, well, the answer is just this. Well, no, actually it's that, but you didn't get to it the right way, so you're wrong too. And it's just like, I just really wish that those scumbags in Harrisburg would help us advocate for our product. I mean, it'd be so nice to just say, but look, it just makes sense.
I think they're advocating for private education.
That's the point I just made. The people that are supposed to be advocating to keep the doors open are making it really hard to do just that.
Yeah. Well, again, let's not forget though, that all this assessment and state testing, et cetera, started approximately around 1998, right? Let's not forget No Child Left Behind, which was the reauthorization of the elementary and secondary education. Let's not forget how it has multiplied over the last 25 years. And let's not forget that if USDE goes away, does this state assessment that meets a federal regulation go away as well. Let's turn the power back over to Pennsylvanians for Pennsylvania students. Let's let Pennsylvanians decide what's important and teach and have accountability. We had this talk again today. We're not afraid of accountability. That's fine. And these are the current rules of the game. But I just look at the knowledge in this room, let alone throughout the state. I do believe we're competent enough in the state of Pennsylvania to define what Pennsylvania should know. With Mrs. Gleghorn, we've talked about identification rates and why are they so high in Pennsylvania versus her experience in Kentucky. And she didn't wait 30 seconds before she was able to, rattle off the difference in the criteria, et cetera, et cetera. These things can be done, and I don't want to go necessarily down a rabbit hole pontificate, but this state assessment, right? We didn't do this. We didn't do this when we were in school. Came in 1998, and it's associated with federal funding and the reauthorizations of ESEA in their imaginations and in their different forms of NCLB to the current, whatever the hell it's called now. So we just go Trump, right?
Yeah, I don't know how you know what's working right if everybody's doing the same thing. You got somebody doing something different to compare it to. I don't.
Well, we have former teachers here and current teachers here. So you learn to differentiate your instruction, right? But then on those 3 days of the PSSA, take your accommodations from IDEA, they don't matter, right? They're all taking the same test. They're all taken the same way. And when we're supposed to push for authentic assessment, again, I'm going to go back to the project with Steels, okay? When we're supposed to go back to authentic assessment, what's authentic about coloring in bubbles? I've always had a problem with that good teaching, good instruction, and good assessment is not necessarily what we're seeing out of these state assessments, in my humble opinion. And I think we can say that here because another thing too, it's not like we're not doing a good job on these things. We're playing the game. But by no means do I want to say that I think this is the best game that can be played.
Not to drag this meeting out, the last thing I'll say is I'm so sick and tired of hearing about China and Japan and Germany and all these. They say how high the assessments are, but there's the biggest asterisk in the world over at the end of that statement. Nobody says they are not testing all of their kids.
They don't educate all of them.
No, by the end of
You're out of a job in a lot of.
by the end,
I don't have a job.
I would say the last time I read, because we were getting beat over the head with it, so I dove into it. But I think by the end of middle school, they are in a track that's there is no U-turn. Like by the end of middle school, you're vocational. Like that's it. You're going to go make iPhones. You didn't do so well. You're done. You're going to the factory. That's where you're heading. Graduate or don't graduate. That's what you're doing. You've been at the top 10%. Guess what? You're going to take our algebra assessments. Thank you. Look how smart we are. Of the tested students, we had a 90% proficiency rate. Boy, you other countries are stupid. And we literally test everybody. Now, I'm gonna leave that up for interpretation, but we literally test everybody.
No child left behind. Dr. Willard Daggett, who's international, respected educational researchers, says the following. Okay. As soon as you say America educates everybody, that's the end of the conversation because nobody else does that. Now, you want to talk about elements of instruction and how to reach kids and differentiation, that can be done anywhere. But we are it in the Western world as far as educating everybody. Anyway, that's your answer to what is Steels, Mr. Nemo.
And don't forget, I'm going to throw something else out there, that they're now making students with IQs with above 65, 70 or below is intellectually impaired, take the PSSA and the Keystone. They're no longer eligible for the PASA.
Some of them can't even read, and they have to take.
That's our fault. You know that, Laurel.
It's just not right.
It's ridiculous. So,
How do they do? Just sit there and color? What the hell do they do?
Color bubbles.
good.
Make it design.
Pattern,
Paragraph.
shape.
It's good design.
It's a three-page
It's
passage.
I stood there and watched it.
They are done fast.
Yeah. So if we were Catholic school, we could pass the sacramental wine and calm down. Let's move on.
Mr. Swervely, did I get to you? or-
You did not get it.
No acronyms.
No, keep them all out. So, we do our Veterans Day Assembly every other year. This was the year that we did it, again, and it's always been a great assembly, one of my favorites. And we always get great praise from everyone that comes out and watches it, from the honor guard to any of the veterans. So that was a great thing we did last month. We also did our family math and reading our fun night. We had about 150 people there between parents, kids, and participating. And like I said, one of the STEAM projects we did was working with the robots for us. So people had a lot of fun that night. The day before Thanksgiving break, Mr. Jermansky did his annual hoopathon. He raised $1,945.50, and we'll split those between Project Hope and our Spartan Bread Basket that we use to give food on the weekends to kids. We also participated in the Project Hope food drive. We collected at the elementary, so after they filled the van up, or the bus up, high school, they came down and picked up our stuff at the elementary. Officer Hoyland mentioned Shop with the Cop. He called me and said he was in charge of it. Mrs. Nia Batistos really runs at the elementary. She takes recommendations from the teachers. We look at that. We also go back and look at who has gone in the past, and we try to make sure other kids get opportunities to go and not the same kids go every year. So we do that when we give the nominations to him. And then since we're talking about all the great things the states, as we just recently, beginning of November, got the go-ahead to finish out last year's evaluations. We got all of our building scores and that, so we were able to close those out.
When they get to meet with teachers who are in the middle of the current year and say, hey, remember that year 23, 24? Let's talk about that. That's the mind.
Any questions for Mr. Swervely? Mrs. Cohen?
I also included at your seats, a two-page document that says executive budget summary on the, front of it. And that was where we started. With everybody on that. We turn over, you get to the important stuff, which is where we end. And it's, all of that information on there. And then the middle column at the bottom are the major categories where we were under budget that help explain some of our differences where we ended. Those were all related to our new teachers. A lot of them that came in, we budgeted conservatively with a master's degree and a family as far as benefits go. So we should make sure if that's what we hired, that we would be able to cover them. And the majority of them didn't hit those. So we ended up saving quite a bit in health insurance salaries, which salary savings is also. And then on the revenue side, there were quite a few categories where we were significantly over budget that I noted there. But the majority of, or the biggest ones, our earned income tax continues to climb each year. A nice little bonus for us. Interest, like Mrs. Landon mentioned, was $217,000 for what we budgeted, which was significant. I mean, we did budget very conservative, but again, that's an unknown number. Both the final basic ed subsidy, which is the BDF, and that environmental repair grant were unknowns when we budgeted, so we ended up with additional funds there. That did offset a lot of our expected deficit. We still had a deficit, not favorable, but we expected to, knowing that we were replacing a roof and using some of our fund balance for that, and also had a lot of deficit. I thought the year ended, like I said, better than what we thought it was going to, but still at a deficit position. But I can go over any of that in detail if anybody has any questions at any point. I also emailed you like you mentioned, the 60-page financial documents you're welcome to go through. And at your seats, I put the summary, a little bit condensed from that. The other thing I wanted to mention that Dr. Lee and I have been working on copiers. All of our leases are up the end of November they were up. And we extended them by 2 months so we could make an educated decision on replacing them and what best will fit for us. We have 10 copiers total, which are also printers, scanners. They do their the all-in-one kind of thing. And we got 5 different price quotes back, and we have a meeting scheduled tomorrow. We're gonna try to go through those and get them to be as close to apples as we can. The pricing is kind of all over the place, but again, it's not, we gave them what we had and they got as close to it as they could. So we wanna go through and make sure that we know what each company is proposing. We did ask them for a recommendation, as one of our, suggestions to one of our requests. So, those are all different as well. So we wanna make sure we get the right company in here and, continue success with the way it has been, so. I want to mention
Toshiba has terrible customer service. Toshiba, I don't know if they're on your list.
they are,
So it could be a couple weeks.
yeah, I am.
You can maybe ask them that.
I,
They can give you a better deal.
I did ask for references, which I haven't had a chance to call yet, so, yeah. Any of that feedback is welcome.
They don't have good customer service.
Any of that feedback.
In a couple weeks usually.
Thank you. Appreciate that. One more thing, Ms. Rich and I meet with the Rashidi group tomorrow to get our act, we call it the Act 1 projection, which is the increase that we will be facing for our health insurance next year. They're doing individual meetings with the district this year. Hopefully not because it's that bad, but we had a 12.6% increase last year, so I'm assuming it'll be. So, we're right about where we were last year at this time. So for healthcare, it goes up every year. I'm hoping it's less than 12, because our Act 1 index is only 5.4, so Act is enough to cover it, even that. So that's all I have.
That's the better part about doing the teacher's contract. You never know. You're just flying, you're hoping when you do the contract, you've got enough figured in for the next 4 to 5 years. Okay, any questions for this? Dr. Lee?
Yes, Mr. Rich asked me to share the results of the climate survey for my administrative report. So I'm gonna jump right
Before
in.
you start, just a couple things. He's gonna do an abridged version. There will be a more extensive version on video that gets sent out. The original was 100 slides, so we don't want to be here till tomorrow. My friend, see how good you are in the next 12 minutes.
I already wasted 8 seconds. All right. All right, so anyway, jumping right in. Why are we doing this? The climate survey is important. It's done by multiple organizations, and really it's an opportunity to look and take a deep look at our organization and how we can continually improve. As Mr. Rich said, you know, we're doing well in regards to, you know, several things, but we want to make it our best year yet. We want to take this feedback and react to it in order to do so. All right, the methodology behind the data collection, it took place between October and November of this year. Surveys were completed anonymously. It took about 10 to 15 minutes to participate or to respond, and we had 373 respondents. That breaks down to 122 parents, 71 staff, and 180 students. So this is where your data is coming from. All right, some of the survey topics: safety, teaching and learning, interpersonal relationships, institutional environment, leadership, and professional relationships, and all the subcategories that are presented within the document. To keep it nice and clean, we used a traditional 5-point Likert scale and awarded a point for each one. We had 5 different options: agree, strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. So that's how the survey was scored and how we came up with calculations. All right, jumping right into the actual data, and I'm going to go quick. And as Mr. Rich said, I have a lot to say. You can see it in the video. I have a lot more to share, but I want to be in the interest of time. I want to honor that. So, very first question, looking at the rules and the norms in regards to safety. The question was, I believe Laurel School District clearly communicates rules about physical violence. We had 77% of our respondents either agree or strongly agree with that statement.
just letting you guys know that and I'm pointing like you can see me, the items at the top, the bar graph, that's the individual responses, right? From whether that's a student, parent, or staff member. In the bottom corner, left-hand corner is really what we'll be focusing on, but that's the percentage breakdown. So I wanted to make certain that I was clear on what those two different graphs are and why they're both there. All right, moving right along. I believe the Laurel School District clearly communicates rules about verbal abuse, harassment, and teasing. We had 65% of our respondents agree with that statement or strongly agree with that statement. Next one. Laurel School District has a clear and consistent enforcement and norms for adult intervention. 60% of our respondents felt that they agreed or strongly agreed with that question. Physical security. Students and adults feel safe from physical harm in the Laurel School District. We had 77% of our respondents say that they feel safe from physical harm in our school district, and I would think if we did this next year, it'd be 87% thanks to Chief Williams. All right, moving right along. Emotional security. Students feel safe from verbal abuse, teasing, and exclusion within the Laurel School District. We only had 50% of our respondents say that they agree or strongly agree. This was one of our lowest areas where we scored. All right, next one. Laurel School District uses supportive teaching practices such as encouragement and constructive feedback, varied opportunities to demonstrate knowledge and skills. 76% of our respondents either agreed or strongly agreed with that question. Support for learning. The Laurel School District shows support for risk-taking with instruction and independent thinking within learning. 67% of our respondents were either agreed or strongly agreed with that statement. The Laurel School District has an atmosphere conducive to dialogue and questioning. 68% of our respondents either agreed or strongly agreed with that question. Support for learning. The Laurel School District provides an academic challenge for students. We had 73% of our population respond and say they agree or strongly agree with that statement. When asked if the Laurel School District was a place where educators provide individual attention for learners, we had 66% of our respondents either agree or strongly agree with that statement. Academic achievement is a priority within the Laurel School District. 75% of our population that responded said they agree or strongly agree with that statement. So Laurel is a place where academics matter. Social and civic learning. The Laurel School District supports the development of social, civic knowledge and skills. 70% is where we score on that particular question. All right. Laurel School District educates students in order to produce productive citizens, but does not indoctrinate students in any one political philosophy. We had 67% of our respondents say that we're doing a pretty good job in being unbiased in the way we present our curriculum. All right. Teaching and learning, social and civic learning. Laurel School District promotes effective listening. 68% stated that they were either in agreement or strongly agree with that statement. All right. The Laurel School District promotes conflict resolution. 57% of our respondents either agreed or strongly agreed. There's only one of a handful that was under 60%. All right. Personal responsibility. Laurel School District promotes personal responsibility. We had 76% of our respondents agree or strongly agree with that statement. And remember, you can see the breakdowns of the individuals on the top graph. Respect for all. Laurel School District is a place that demonstrates mutual respect for all individuals at the school, student, adult, and overall norms for tolerance. 64% agreed with that statement or strongly agreed with that statement. All right, the Laurel School District is a place of supportive and caring adult relationships for students. And this in regards to interpersonal relationships, and 75% of our respondents either strongly agreed or agreed with that statement. Laurel School District is a place for high expectations for student success. 77% of our population agreed with that statement. The Laurel School District is a place of supportive peer relationships for students. Students make friends easy. Students support other students if they are experiencing problems. Once again, this stays with the theme. 66% felt that they either agreed or strongly agreed with that question. All right. Run along that. Laurel's a place where people feel welcome when you come in as a new member to the community, and 66% of the population surveyed either agreed, strongly agreed with that statement. All right, positive identification within the school and norms of broad participation in school life, students, staff, and families, and this is in regard to how connected and engaged our families are with our school. 70% of our respondents either agreed or strongly agreed. And keep in mind with this numbers, and this is one thing I'm going to point out, I'm not including any neutral in what I'm saying here. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at the numbers. I have a different report for that. All right. Physical surroundings. Laurel School District is a place of cleanliness, order, and appeal of facilities and adequate resources and materials. 59% agreed with that statement or strongly agreed with that statement. Responses to social media. Laurel School District has a sense that students feel safe from physical harm, verbal abuse, teasing, gossip, and exclusion when online or on electronic devices. We had 42% of our population either agreed or strongly agreed with. This was the only category where we were under 50% response. However, there's a large neutral population.
Well, I think just before, I don't want to drag it out, this is to provide feedback, right? And it's nice to see where we're doing well, but it's also nice to see where we need to take place.
All right, the district, this is in regards to the leadership. District administration creates and communicates a clear vision. 57% of our respondents stated that they agreed or strongly agreed. 25% were neutral in regards to that comment. All right. Administration's accessible and supportive of school staff. 63% of our respondents either agreed or strongly agreed with that statement. Professional development. The Laurel School District supports professional development. 68% of our respondents either agreed or strongly agreed with that. Someone that's part of the Act 48 committee, I can tell you that we definitely take that serious, and we put a lot of time into that. And it shows. That's why our scores are up. That's why Laurel's an awesome place. So anyway, moving right along. Laurel School District full of positive attitudes and relationships among school staff that support effectively working and learning together. That was 59% of our respondents either agreed or strongly agreed. All right, moving on to actually responding to a little bit of this, summarizing it. In regards to these different categories, in safety, physical security, most people felt safe from physical harms. Social emotional security, it was a little bit mixed. It was all over the place. Some felt safe, some felt, there was verbal abuse and so forth, where others were neutral. So there wasn't a big tell there. Communication and enforcement, this was something that came up multiple times. They just wanted a clear and consistency in the way we enforce rules. In regards to teaching and learning, our respondents felt that we were supportive. And we definitely encourage independent and critical thinking skills. Classroom environment, we have an atmosphere that's conducive to dialogue and questioning is positively acknowledged. And you notice it does say there's some neutrality there, where there are areas where we can improve, right? Interpersonal relationships, respondents generally agree that students support one another. New students are welcome. Staff relationships, positive attitudes, and collaborative relations among staff are noted, but not universally. All right. Summary, institutional environment, facilities and resources. This was a big issue that came up specifically in our comments and throughout the course. We had a lot of complaints about the cleanliness and the adequacy of resources in regards to the district, in regards to facilities and so forth. School engagement. that, you know, people are engaged with our school. They love our school. The culture is everything. And this is something that I've spoke to multiple times with Mr. Rich, just in conversation. It's someone that it's outside of the district, coming in from an outsider's perspective. It's overwhelming how much our community loves this school. It was a huge tell for me. It's something that I actually came up in my doctoral studies. So kudos to Laurel. I mean, it's everywhere, right? You are inspired. It just blew me away from very first day one, unlike any other place I've been. So anyway, moving along to leadership, vision, and accessibility. Most respondents felt that we do a great job with communicating, but some felt that there's areas of improvement. So this is something we definitely, low-hanging fruit we can examine ourselves and respond to. Professional development, once again, it was acknowledged, but not uniformly. But if you look at it overall, the scores show that it's something that definitely we prioritize. Social media and online safety. This is an area where we believe that we need some improvement based on the feedback. Just a nice little graphic to show you some of the trends here, positive versus concerns. You see how it breaks down in regards to the various groups. And I thought it was interesting, and Mr. Rich and I, when we reviewed this data, there's a lot to chew on here. But ultimately, there's so much good here. And that's why I was excited when I read all this. So, a couple key insights. There's a heck of a lot of positivity within the responses. And it just reinforces that this is a special place. Strength, safety, teaching and learning, interpersonal relationships and leaderships. One of the areas that we were neutral, it said that there was lack of awareness regarding communication with certain initiatives, and the enforcement of rules was something that routinely came up. Opportunities for improvement, consistency and enforcement, support for learning, social media safety, physical surroundings. I'm going to jump down to the key takeaways because, like I said, I'll elaborate on this a little bit more a lot more in the video. Key takeaways: enhanced communication about rule enforcement and norms, invest in cyber safety programs, increase the visibility of professional development efforts and support for innovative teaching practices, and focus on improving the physical environment to ensure facilities reflect the district's commitment to excellence. 1504, Mr. Rich. Any questions?
No, there's definitely a lot there to look at.
There's a ton.
Yeah, I mean, digest this. Take your pen to it, make some notes. Like I said, he's going to do a much deeper dive, and that will be put on board docs as well. So the video will be public. He did start out this morning with over 100 slides. So, we're not sitting through 100 slides tonight, but here's some of my 30,000 foot view, right? Got a lot of things trending in the right direction. We are imperfect. And I think we got some feedback on our imperfections that we need to work on. And also relative to social media and the gossiping or the online bullying or anything else, we have a lot of parents on this board. And we are not immune to the ills of society. And we often talk about we're a little bit Mayberry and we like it that way. But we are not insulated from social media, the internet, and the wider world around us. Rob, thank you for this, what I'm going to call introduction to the climate survey result. Mr. Rusilla, there's a copy in your email. And if there are no questions at this time, we will gladly follow up individually or collectively. If you're interested in the raw data, if you really want to get into it, we have that as well as the open-ended responses. Okay.
Yeah, and I was actually just going to point that in. If anybody wanted to review the raw data, just make an appointment with me. I'd be happy to sit down and go over it.
Good question for you on the neutral data.
how are you interpreting that?
Great question. So here's what we did, and I didn't get to show any of the actual some of the numbers in the calculations, but basically using the Likert scale, we took it 5 for strongly agree, 4 for agree, 3 for neutral, 2 for, or disagree, and 1 for strongly disagree. And then take that matrix and score that. That's how we can incorporate the neutral and have
So he has about
Have some
another
accurate
20
data.
slides where he goes through each one of those things, and you'll see a score from 1 to 5. Like it might be 2.5 on an issue, 3 point whatever. So that's how the neutrals are in.
and I'll gladly share all that with you.
Yeah, I would
That's
just
part of it.
encourage, we're taking this to find our improvements, right?
It's absolutely.
And the neutral to me is, well, to me, it almost is like non-confrontational.
Yeah,
I don't
like
want
you don't want to answer one
to
way or
answer
the other.
that question.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's kind of-
Or-
So if you take that and put it into a negative
Or
category,
you don't see it in your role, right?
you might find your work needs of improvement fairly quickly.
Well, a lot of the information we shared also is some of the comments really provide a lot of data as well, right? So that was part of the analysis.
Because if you take the time to do any type of open-ended comment, we had a lot of no's, nothing more, but if you take the time to either leave us a comment or leave us a concern, right, you're more than the average survey taker, right? You're a little bit more invested. So I think when we look at the positive open-end comments as well as the negative, anecdotally, I think we can get some information there too. Any other questions for John? Thank you. Mr. Mangino, do you have anything to add?
I didn't answer any questions.
I have comments or questions from the floor. If we have anything, approval of the minutes, motion to approve the minutes from the November 13th, 2024 regular meeting of the board.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Brett, second by Mr. Lima. Any discussion on the motion? Any negative votes? Discussion? All in favor? Motion.
Mr. Redfoot, I'd like to just put something out there for discussion. Look, if you looked at your agenda, and we've already been here over an hour and a half, we are going to have an executive session. Would anyone like to consider acceptance of the agenda upon consent agenda, universal consent agenda?
Being accepted as read.
Didn't see anything on there.
We have one chance.
Can we take a minute?
Take a minute. If there's anyone to separate with.
You want to explain?
So you can accept upon consent, one vote for the whole agenda. Well, there you go.
We don't have to do, I have to pick up my
Oh,
daughter.
Laura, we'd be happy to accommodate you.
I want to go line by line and then you pull this.
There's no big hires or anything.
Well, I just want to make sure there's nothing I need to understand.
Just review real quick for the new members, the extension on the natural gas contract. Other than that, I don't see anything.
So how about we take a vote on the consent agenda and we'll get an explanation of the natural gas contract.
Do I have a vote to take items A through everything? Yeah. That's it.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Lima, second by Mrs. Siri. Any discussion on the motion? Any negative votes? Any abstentions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Yeah. Well, you really elevated the morale in here, didn't you?
Everyone's feeling pretty damn good right now.
Are there any questions?
Nick?
Hate to drag the meeting out longer, but Laurel was given $118,000 in a school safety grant yesterday. So I was just looking to see what you'll be using the money for.
We'll let you know, Nick.
Yeah, we've already applied.
That's the one we've already approved.
You can see Mr.
Oh,
Chico.
Yeah,
Oh, that was the one you already
That's
applied.
the one we've been getting. They just announced it publicly now. We were given that.
Okay, I already wrote about that. Then. Never mind.
You want to explain the natural gas contract, Jim?
Yeah.
Try to, we are part of the Allegheny Area User Maintenance Natural Gas received this email, honestly, right before Thanksgiving, that, they are making a recommendation to lock in a price at negative 0.50, per DCH. Please don't ask me, if that's whatever measurement gas is measured in. We currently are at negative 0.3, so it is an improvement over where we are right now. So I didn't see.
They're charging you.
I didn't see a negative to extending our contract.
With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
By Mr. Press, seconded by Mrs. Eldridge, all in favor?
Take a quick recess and.